Hello, people. This is my first ever live stream, so excuse me for not being used to this. Can people hear me? Can someone say something? Oh, you gotta be a subscriber to comment. Hmm. Oh, there's Oscar. Hello, Oscar. Awesome. Hi, Oscar. Hi, Thomas. Hi, Demon Realm. Huh. I see there's a delay between you guys hearing me, then you typing, and then me reading what you write. Okay. All right. So I hope people found the video today useful. I suppose let's start with Q&A about anything about Foundry, and then after that, if we've exhausted that topic, what other people want to talk about, and then I'll make an announcement after. Oh, and there was a lot of good suggestions in the live chat about um, other modules that are useful for Foundry. I'm going to later today put up a pinned comment under the video that include it could be you can call it an errata that has some additions and changes to what I say in the video. I want it to be a good, one-stop shop resource for Foundry users who want to know how to use it. Hi, Nicholas. Hi, Andrew. Okay. I guess the best compliment is not to have any questions because my video was so comprehensive. Oscar was in my adventure last night where they almost had a total party kill. Age of Ashes, a notorious adventure. Sometime in the future, I'll include music. Oh, and this is my shelf on my desk that has the books I most commonly use. Okay, well, I'll open it up for anyone to ask anything. Anything about my channel, things that you'd like the channel to cover, other questions about Foundry or virtual tabletops, anything. Yes, I use the Oscar. I use the battle music that comes up by default. Well, under Ivan Dutch's music packs. Yep, yep. I hope the video was useful. Thanks, Guillermo. Yeah, Gunner. I have a lot of modules, and there might be performance issues on the player's end. The players see stuff from their browser. As long as you have a good internet connection, then this stuff should work fine, but you might have to scale it back. Yeah. I used Roll20 and before using Fantasy Grounds, and I used Fantasy Grounds before using Foundry, and especially for Pathfinder, I'm really glad I made the move. Fantasy Grounds is great for the automation, and there's people who would prefer that. Clockwork Cthulhu. What's new? Okay, Ceane. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Is it Sean? But how would I differentiate between player and character knowledge? I don't know if you've used a virtual tabletop before, but it kind of depends on the specific situation. If if players know that they rolled a natural 20 to get knowledge, for example, for some reason, then I don't know. There has to be kind of an understanding between the GM and the players that's fun for everybody. If the GM, sometimes I have some players who I explicitly forbid using that knowledge, and if they say they use the knowledge in game, I just say it doesn't happen. Sometimes you have to put your foot down. Swing Ripper, yeah, I try to make my videos as useful as possible. Thanks for the comment. I uh, I will. I have a long list of other videos that I want to cover that I'm pretty excited to do. Andrew asks about other RPG systems. Yeah, I do when I'm uh, have specific inspiration. Um, I don't see myself doing general reviews of systems I'm not playing, though. I have to say, maybe on specific topics or comparing editions. Like I think one of the things I'll cover in the future that's not an edition I play is comparing previous D&D editions to more modern ones. I think comparisons are really interesting, seeing how the game has evolved. I'm reading a book on how D&D was invented, by the way, by John Peterson. Scene. Okay. Yes, I'm almost certain Fantasy Grounds is good for 1E. You definitely want to have some automation with one first edition Pathfinder. Gunnar, you mentioned a module that lets you reduce graphics settings on weak machines. Oh, Spudmaster, is that what you mean? I'm writing some notes from this. I see this video and this chat as also an opportunity for me to learn. So I'm writing down Spudmaster and Bellows right now. Oh, and Gunnar, I learned German in high school. I used to be fluent. Spudmaster, okay. Oh, and if people, if you are chatting with me today, you probably want to go to the Discord, join that community that's growing. I launched it when the level 20 video premiered last week, and we already have dozens of people there, including some people I game mastered for. And if you want to chat with them, get the unadulterated, unauthorized biography of me, you can. And also I'll be organizing events from there too. Okay. Swing Ripper, I see your comment, your suggestion about balancing creatures. Having a video about balancing creatures and how one can workshop ideas. I don't understand workshop ideas. But what I find generally is that, okay, in my Pathfinder is easier to GM video, I say it's easier to homebrew, which is actually not true for all GMs, but I think for those who put a premium on having a intended balance and difficulty for their monsters, it's easier because everything's assigned the level in Pathfinder. And so you know from stat blocks given by the authors that, oh, your level 14 creature can probably incorporate this special ability from a level 14 dragon or have a feat from a level 14 barbarian. So that makes it pretty useful. Patricio asks if I self-host or do I use another service. I self-host. I have a very good internet connection. Well, actually, if you use another service, you want to have a good internet connection too. But then you have to deal with port forwarding, which, the Foundry website gives some And also the encounter library channel goes over that port forwarding. I have no experience with the other service. The one most commonly used is called the Forge for Foundry users. Discord link. It's in the description of the video that just premiered. That's where you'll find the link to my Discord. Oh, and probably I should put that link in this chat. Okay, workshop ideas means taking a concept and putting it into mechanics. Yeah, well, I don't have any specific ideas because that's not something I often do. Though if the idea comes up, like someone has a suggestion that would probably attract interest, like maybe some monster from fiction, from Stranger Things or something, that could be an idea. But, you know, it's hard to give a universal guide because something that's more universally useful, it would need to be a certain level, which might not be appropriate for every party. But maybe something on a general topic of how to approach homebrewing in not just Pathfinder also. Okay, this is fun. Sure, you're welcome, Patricia. Ooh, I can see how many viewers are on. It is still increasing, so that's good. If I start to bore people, I'll be able to visually see it. Did I find the Easter egg on Guns and Gears, page 77 and 96? Oh, the sidebar navigation is wrongly printed on those pages. I saw the post in Reddit. An Easter egg suggests to me it's intentional, which I doubt this was. I am looking at my copy. How much time would I say it takes to become fluent with PF2E? I don't know, because I'm not fluent yet. That's a joke. But I would say you actually can, first of all, I would say to be able to run it, the beginner box has an easy ramp up. The beginner box, which I plan to feature in a video soon, you can actually run the adventure that's in it without having read anything else. And it teaches you the rules as you're running it. So that's the best way to learn it. Now, to be able to run other adventures outside the beginner box and feel like you have system mastery, it's a process. And that's another topic. Maybe how to learn Pathfinder 2e. But there's only certain sections you really need to look at, and then after that, it's just what your players have built for their characters. As long as you know that, and also your players should be responsible for knowing the rules for their own characters. But there is more of a learning curve. I would say that it took me... Everyone's going to be different. I'm a lawyer, and so I learned better from reading rules. And I systematically went through the book over the course of a week to the extent that I felt I could confidently play a first-level adventure. But even then, that's different from actually... When you're in play, you see, oh, this is a situation where I really want to know how to deal with players who are searching their environment while in a dungeon. And so I'm going to look up a rule for that. That becomes a constant ramp up, and I would say that after maybe like running 10 sessions or so, I felt pretty good that I can, with confidence, teach other people to run it. So that's my complicated answer, but there's no magic moment. But I'll have to say that once you learn it, my comparison with GMing 5e video, it's easier to run. There's a higher learning curve, but once you have it, you have the vocabulary, the terminology, the rules to be able to deal with what your players throw at you more easily. Okay, so a number of comments to catch up on now. So Scene, I highly recommend the beginner box as the first thing to do. The adventure is a bit rudimentary, and but for learning the rules, it's good. And your players may chafe at the limitations of the player creation options in the beginner box, and you may want to open up the core rulebook classes, or just classes they're excited about. I mean, the thing is, I basically, when I've taught people, I usually open up all of the classes because a leading appeal of 2E is the character customization, and so it would seem to go against what might really excite people going in, and also coming out of their first session to limit player options. So I try to open that up. But if you're not prepared to open that up, that's understandable. It's your prerogative as the GM. Yes, character building rules in 2E are very straightforward, Swing Ripper. I really enjoy it. Thomas Emich, what do I do to get kids involved in my games? Are there tips to keeping their attention on the game? That's a whole topic, but first of all, I met kids through teaching an after-school program. The school hired me to had an after-school program. It's a middle school, so people age 11 to 14, and so I teach an after-school program that's 2 to 3 hours twice a week after school, and then through that there's a lot of, that's a great age to teach, so you can find a lot of people are interested in RPGs, have enough attention to really want to deep dive into learning the system themselves. And I then started to game master games campaigns on the weekends via the program. I met their parents through the program, so that's how I met them. And any tips on keeping their attention on the game? Being observant is the number one thing I find is important as a GM. If your players are bored, sometimes kids convey boredom by being distracted, and I think it's important not to misunderstand that as lack of enthusiasm about your game. Maybe they just find a particular thing you're focused on in that particular moment less engaging to them or less exciting. There's a lot of things I could possibly say on that topic. When introducing new players, do I tend to use the beginner box rules or the more expanded rules when running in Foundry? Like I said earlier, I like to open it up to my players who are looking into 2E, usually consciously, for the character customization. I like to open up the character creation options. And the beginner box, if you set aside character creation options, the beginner box is the full rules, in 99% of the full rules. Ooh, many comments. Yeah, my green screen. I have this thing attached to my chair, which is much easier to set up. So it's quick and dirty. I almost always have Archives of Nethys open when I'm running a game, and that's useful. You can just Google 2E and the rules element you're looking for, and you're going to find clear language telling you what it does and doesn't do. Yes, Archives of Nethys does get slow sometimes, I found on the weekends, and somebody needs to expand their bandwidth. And I found it using Google to search for archives of Nethys pages. Also, when I'm clicking for the page, I find that slow too. Oh yeah, I think the for new players, the current the official character sheet is not good. I in my second video that I published, I have two character sheets I recommend instead, which give you pretty much almost all the same functionality. They part of the problem is that the official character sheet accommodates level 20 characters, but you're not going to make level 20 characters with first-time players. PF2 Easy is also a good alternative, partly because so many people use Archive of Nethys, and on the touch screen, PF2 Easy is also easier to use, I think. The character sheets that Gerard mentioned are for in-person. And there should be links in my video, the second video I posted. Giant Weapon Barbarian is pretty strong at early levels, yes, and I don't have much experience seeing them at higher levels, but I have seen fighters be pretty scary at higher levels, so they don't have monopoly. Barbarians don't have a monopoly on that. Do I still use the beginner box adventure when introducing new players? If I I think I do. Yeah. With people I don't know very well, who I'm not sure what experience they have with RPGs. Another thing that the beginner box does well is that it consciously sets all of the rooms you go through to kind of show different aspects of what happens in a role-playing game, such as combat, then using your skills, dealing with a simple puzzle. So if I want to ensure I have a variety of those things, I do the beginner box to make sure they get a vertical slice of what can be in a role-playing game if they are not already won to that idea. Okay. The pictures for Lushies are great, Gunner, and I'm glad they're on Archives of Nethys. Yeah, scene. For me, the in-person sheets, I generally prefer to that people learn how to fill it out themselves, at least for the first character, so that they're not relying on that they don't bypass how the numbers are made, how the sausage is made, so that they don't miss out on learning how proficiency works, for example. But it's not a hard rule for me. But gaming with people online, I don't get the chance to sit next to them and guide them through it. So I don't actually. If I went back to in-person teaching, I definitely would use that sheet, even if I end to teach people, even if I end up going online. Have I run or played all the Pathfinder 2E adventure paths? I am running Age of Ashes. I ran Extinction Curse for a level or two before that group wanted to play a first edition adventure path. Then I'm running Agents of Edgewatch. We're at level 5. And I ran Abomination Vaults for a level or two before that group went back to school. And I'm currently running Fist of the River Phoenix. Then there's the current one, which I have not run yet, which is set in a Magic Academy. Which day I like more? I think that's highly group dependent. I think if the GM and the players are excited by the story they can make anything work. It's just that there's pretty much consensus in on the subreddit that the first few adventures and adventure paths are can be brutal if the GM runs them a certain way. Michael Wallace asks about action economy for charging from a horse. Okay. Well, I'm not familiar with. I do remember that the horse has the mount trait for animal companions. I think that only affects whether they can non-land speeds. I have to look it up, and I don't know if I should look it up in the middle, like right now. Like if you bring it up on Discord, I can answer that. Do I prefer long adventure paths or shorter modules? I don't have a preference. I like the big epic stories, and it's purely what I choose is based on do I like the hook, the theme of the story, and do I think I'll be gaming with that group a long time. What's in my top list? I think Abomination Vaults is really good because it's the players can choose whether they want to do a simple dungeon crawl or engage with a home base that is a small town. My middle schoolers, unsurprisingly, want to run for mayor or start a business. These are very... and my Age of Ashes group is... even though that Adventure Path hops around the world, they're starting a business too. Have I played AD&D? I want to play it. I actually got exposed to role-playing games in the late 80s when I was when I got the red box for basic D&D. Wanted to play the game, never got a chance to play it until I became an after-school program teacher. And I wanted to actually do a one-shot with some of my current students and post that of running old school D&D, actually specifically Beckme D&D, and try out that. I have actually run Swords and Wizardry, did a short one-shot on that. I found it a lot of fun, and no character survived more than 2 sessions. Is it better than 5th edition? It's a different kind of game. Depends on what you're looking for. I think 5th edition is the best system of all time for making it what you want it to be. It's easily hackable because it has modern mechanics. Yeah. If I checked out the Pathfinder Society scenarios, I have not. I have been haven't had time to follow up with the published modules and APs, which I find interesting. And the Pathfinder Society adventures, I'm not personally, it's not my style of gaming with gaming with people I don't really know very well, and for 4 hours, like a story that's 4 hours long, just not my preference. That is true, Swing Ripper. That is funny. People do do anything is a it's a dangerous thing to say with children. I'm running a city-based adventure soon in 2E. Do I have any advice for that setting? I do not currently, but I do wonder, I don't have experience to inform this, but 2E does pose challenges for sandboxes because of the controlled vertical progression of player power, and which is at tension with players can go anywhere and encounter anything. And so I'll say this though, I found proficiency without level has some downsides to it. I think it makes creatures a little bit more samey, but the pluses might overweigh the minuses. City-based adventure, yeah, that's really. I think that the first volume of Abomination Vault has some good subsystems for having shops and making relationships with the owners of the shops and using shops for downtime. And also volume 1 of Age of Ashes too. But those might be online, I'm actually not sure. Yeah, my middle schoolers want to have a flying castle in Age of Ashes. They're working on that. They like the idea, well, at least these middle schoolers like the idea of being king of their world. Okay. I think I'll go for 9 more minutes and then move people to the Discord. Um, so it could be very daunting. Yeah, I haven't run a sandbox myself. I tend to like to. I don't do homebrew, not because I'm not excited by the idea, but I am a busy person, and so I like to have things prepared. That's the only reason. So I don't have much advice in that regard, unfortunately. Um, I would follow the general advice that's in Gary Gygax's Dungeon Master's Guide of, start local and go bigger from there. And that includes like a neighborhood or a city block. Um, if you make that rich, then they will, then the connections to other parts of the world, you'll know what to save your brain time for on what you want to plan for other parts of the city. If you are using the locality, the neighborhood, the city block to see what your players are inclined towards doing. You could put a lot of work into making a sandbox, but find that a lot of it, you're going to find yourself trying to railroad people into what you've made, and find that that's not the same as I don't know. There's pluses and minuses to different approaches. Michael Wallace, I see your question about people who play a complicated class but don't know the basic rules about their class. Well, maybe sit down with them and write a cheat sheet for their class. Basically, the one complication with the Oracle is the progression of their curse, and which is separate from their focus points. And if they're still having trouble, and they find it unfun, then they would then, as a result, be more open to trying something else. And I would completely let them retcon, because they couldn't possibly have known what they were getting into when they chose that class. The other thing too is that if you're the one finding frustration with having to remind them with the rules, gentle nudges, helping them, engaging with how they learn and memorize information, and teaching them stuff, and giving them a heads up also, like your turn's next, little things like that are useful. And then soft time limits becoming more strict, and also recruiting other players, because you have enough to think about, engaging other players to be a big sibling, big sister, big brother, to help them out. Which variant rules do I like and why? For some of my groups, I like the free archetype variant, and I like to use twice the number of dice instead of just doubling the total, because more dice is more fun. But then I'm using an online virtual tabletop. That might change when I play in person. Some variant rules I have not tried yet, but I'm interested in, are automatic bonus progression in a sandbox campaign, so that magic doesn't become a treadmill, and it's just interesting abilities. So that's one thing I'm looking at, as well as possibly automatic bonus progression, and also possibly level 0 characters. As you can see, I'm kind of a old school player at heart. Maybe not because I prefer the system, but because I haven't really had a chance to fully try it out. How should I convince my players to convert? I've been DMing 5e for 3 years now. I'm a bit tired of it. Well, I'm hoping that a big reason for my channel was to provide resources for people in your situation, Tian. Like links that you can forward to people. And I think my very first video is to dispel the idea that 2e is... There's some common myths about it. One is that it's Pathfinder and impossible to learn. And 2 is that it's just building overpowered characters, which could arguably have been said about 1e and is much less true about 2e. So my channel, and if there are specific concerns and questions that your group has, then I could try to answer those on the Discord. Also, I am completely on the side of the GM. If a GM is burning out, that's going to spill over to the players, and they're going to be having less fun too. So they should respect your wishes too. 3, okay. Any mods in Foundry that help with tracking businesses? I have not found any. I would say, though, that you can get a loot actor with limited permissions. A loot actor is a type of actor. When you create an actor in Foundry, you have a choice of the menu. There's a drop-down menu on what kind of actor to turn it into. It could be a character, it could be an NPC. You can make it loot, and you can even make it a store that players can have limited interactions with, so that there's a separate thing that you get to limit access to. So my players and I, we've made a spreadsheet, and there are shares in the company, and there's and they make ethically questionable decisions about as the board of directors. Number one thing, Tian, on 5e players, if they don't have specific concerns to try it, or have just a general lack of interest, just showing them the options of characters in 2e often is enough, and that they can do 3 actions, including attack more than once, starting at level 1. I found that... I mean, and if you know their favorite class, tell them what that class can do. Like, if they like being a barbarian, tell them they can turn into a dragon as a barbarian in 2e. Specific things that address their interests. Swing Ripper, about automatic bonus progression. Yeah, I'm not sure it gives them an excess of cash, because even though let's say, Boots of Elven Kind no longer give you a mathematical bonus to stealth, it still costs the same amount of gold under the variant as given. Perry asks, does bonus damage from items like the twin trait matter often? Yeah, I mean, the twin trait adds something like, 1, 2, 3, or 4 damage. The thing is, another reason why small bonuses are more vital in 2e is that there are more rounds that combat usually lasts, and more attacks, at least at lower levels compared to other systems. So that +1 in damage doesn't seem like much, but if you hit something like a boss creature 4 times, that's +4 damage, and that might deprive the monster of a whole other turn to hurt the party. So, I mean, it's situational. It's not. It doesn't make a difference in the majority of situations, but in those times, it passes you over a tipping point. It is important. One thing about 2e2 is that the battles get to like a tension of between victory and defeat, that those small differences, if you've set up this lined up the dominoes in you and you can make something impactful, it's huge because it changes the outcome. Anyway, being a bit high level there. Okay, so I'm very glad people are here, and I really enjoyed answering questions. I'll do these in the future. Oh, my big announcement is that people should join the Discord. The video on Foundry and also the level 20 video have the link to my Discord if you want to continue talking and also give me suggestions on videos. But also I use that to organize events. And I'm not sure I'm going to post a video next Monday because I planned something on Saturday. I plan a live event on Saturday the 27th. And that is going to be where I run Foundry, and we're going to determine once and for all whether marshals are more powerful than casters in Pathfinder 2e. We're going to settle it through a battle. People will have the opportunity to, from chat, sign up. Well, I don't know if you can do it from chat, but people can get one of the pre-generated level 1 iconic characters and control it during the battle. And there'll be an even number of players on each side. People on one side are casters, people on the other side are marshals, and we'll settle once and for all which are more powerful. Now, I have run tournaments in my after-school program, and I'm aware that running a large event can be pretty labor-intensive. So this is an experiment. You're not going to be satisfied by the number of options you're going to have. You're going to be limited to the pre-generated level 1 iconic characters for this one. But it's an experiment, and for future live events like this, I will likely open it up to higher level characters that you can make ahead of time. But I know that's labor intensive for whoever's running it. So I will talk about that and organize that event from the Discord, at least initially. And so people will be able to directly participate in a battle on my channel. Okay, if there's no other questions, thank you for chatting, and I will I have nothing else to say. So I will see you on the Discord and respond to you there. Okay, bye.